Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jessica and I remain your host on this channel, Jess Signatures. What we do on this channel is really simple. We do pattern drafting. We make sewing easy for beginners and advanced designers. Welcome to this channel. If you're a new subscriber, welcome to the channel. I promise that this channel will be educative, most importantly for you, and also a little bit fun. Put that in mind. For all of my returning subscribers, I say you're the real G's. You're my G's. You're the realest MVPs. Do you know why? I've been away for a while and you all stuck with me. In fact, my channel was growing and I was wondering, I must be doing something right. Thank you all for sticking with me, this little girl, and Happy New Year, guys. Happy New Year. I hope your 2023 was a blessed one. I hope your 2023 was fulfilling for you in your careers, in your business, in whatever that you laid your hands upon. If it wasn't, don't worry. This year we go again. We go harder. We go at it and we go smarter as well. This year, I pray that the Lord will bless whatever we lay our hands on. I pray that this year, whatever we do, we will be fulfilled. The Lord's blessings will be upon the year. All right, guys. Don't forget, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Also, press the subscribe button down there. Yeah, you know how we do it on this channel. Stick with me to the end and you'll enjoy it. Don't forget to share this video to your loved ones. What we'll be doing today is this beautiful dress. I said this year I just want to open it with something different, something unique, something sweet, and I'm bringing a tutorial where I attempted to recreate this beautiful dress, and here's my recreation as well. Let me know how it came out. Tell me in the comment section. Let's relate together. Anyways, without further ado, let's get into today's tutorial. The first thing we'll do is to get our basic bodice measurement. You know the way we do our basic bodice. If you don't know, you can always check my channel. I have a tutorial on how to make a basic bodice pattern. So here I'm just getting all of our horizontal measurements, which is our shoulder to chest line, bust line, under bust, waistline, and hip line. Then I did my shoulder slope, and I'm going ahead to create my armhole for my basic bodice. Here I'll be doing both the front and back bodies together on the same paper because I want you to see how they match on each side because of the design that we will be doing. So now I'm just taking all of my horizontal measurements, round measurement, that is my round bust, round under bust, round hip, and thereabouts. Like I said, if you're confused, you can check my channel, and I'll also link it down below on this video how I make my basic bodice my basic bodice pattern. Here I'm just making it fast for those who have already been here already, but nonetheless you can still get it from here. Now I'm drafting the back bodice. I've removed my zip allowance of 2 inches, and then I've gone ahead to mark my shoulder width, which is 16 inches divided by 2, 8 inches. Then I connect my shoulder slope, and then I'm dividing my armhole by 2, and I'll go in by 0.5 inches. I usually go in at my back armhole by 0.5 inches to eliminate that bulge or that gathering that you have around the armhole at the back sometimes. So when you go in by that 0.5, you don't have issues with your armhole. I'll just connect the rest the way I'll connect a basic bodice pattern, because this is not what we are doing here today. That's why I'm not going into details. Now for the main thing of today, we go to the under bust line, and then we'll come up by 2 inches. Remember your under bust line. You come up by 2 inches, and then you connect it with a curve. Depending on how curved you want it to be, just connect it with a curve and make sure it aligns properly. I decided to change my marker so that you would see all of the alterations that we're going to do properly, because right now we'll be altering the basic bodice pattern. From the hip line, you come up by 2 inches, which I wished I had come up by 1.5, but you can do whichever that suits you. Now from that 2 inches from the center front, I went up by 2.5 inches, and from the side front I went up by 3 inches. Now on that line, you measure from the center front, you measure 5.5 inches. You can do 5 inches as well, but I did 5.5 inches because I'm on the big side, so 5.5 is okay for me. Now I'll connect that 5.5 to the 2.5 I did in the center front, and then I'll also connect it to the 3 inches I did on the side front. Then from the hip line, I'll just connect as if I want to make an A-line gown straight down, so that part will be for my skirt pattern. So we have 3 patterns now. We have the yoke, we have the middle front, and we have the skirt pattern. Now we're going to the back. The same thing we did for the front. From the center point, we come in by 5.5, and then from that center point we go up by 2.5. Then from the side back, rather, we go up by 3 inches. The way we did for the front, that's exactly what we'll do for the back. Now you connect that center back line without the zip allowance. Connect the center back line to that 5.5 inches, and then you extend it into the zip point with a straight line. Then you connect from that 5.5 to the 3 inches that we went up by at the side back. That's that about the shape. Then because we want to avoid zip bulge, on the waistline we'll come in by 0.5 inches. Normally I do 0.75, but because this fabric does not have any stretch, I did 0.5. Do what works for you. And then I just connected that line together with from the yoke part to the waist part, if that makes sense. You do the same on the zip allowance because you want your seam allowance to be accurate, and then you connect again. Now you can see that we have both our front and back pattern all done. Well, the front pattern, we still have one more alteration to do, but I wanted you to see how the front and back look together and how they connect and they meet. Your points must meet at that bottom part so that they would look nice. Now let's go to our neckline. You can do whichever neckline you want, but it's a V neckline on the picture, so I'm just doing my neckline 4x9. 4x9, that is 4 inches in width and 9 inches in length. So 4x9 is what I did for my front neckline. Then for my back neckline, the width remains the same with the front, which is 4 inches, and then I just came down by 1.5 inches, and I connect with a curve. You can do whichever neckline suits you at those points. It's up to you. After doing this, you remember for the front we ruled down for the skirt part. Now here you have to measure what you have for that front. I got 12 inches and my pattern is not enough for the 12 inches, so I'm going to cut out first and then I'll add more pattern. You see me do that and then mark out the 12 inches. So let's cut out the front part. You can see the 3 pieces of the front. Now for us to get that, if you see the main picture on the thumbnail, there is a gathering that is happening around the underbust line. So what I'll do is mark in my nipple to nipple measurement on my underbust and then divide my shoulder, the remaining shoulder that I have there, into 2 equal parts, and then I'll connect that point on the shoulder to the underbust line where I marked my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. Now when you connect with a straight line, that is the line you use to slash. If you're familiar with the slash and spread method, if you're on this channel, you know about the slash and spread method. You just slash it open with your scissors. You don't cut through, you just cut 2, and then the this method of the slash depends on you, how full you want it to be. I just did 2.5 inches for mine. You can do as much as 5 inches, depends on how much gathering you want on that under bust. I didn't want too much because I don't have a big bust. For someone that is busty, you would want to do more allowance for them so that it will accommodate their bust properly, or it will look flattering to on the under bust. But for me, 2.5 is just fine. Then I'll go ahead and tape it down. After taping it down and confirming that my measurement is correct, I'll then go ahead to cut it out. And that's that for the yoke part of the dress. You can see me cutting it out. You cut out all the necessary parts. Don't add any extra allowance where you don't need it, please. So we have the upper part ready. We're back to the back pattern. Now remember I told you I didn't have enough for my 12 inches because I'll be adding 2 extra inches for my zip allowance, which will make the back 14 inches. So that is what I'm marking out now. I've marked out my 2 inches zip allowance and then the 12 inches for the skirt parts. Then I connect and we'll cut out the pattern. You can see how easy it is. So for the back, we have just 2 patterns because it's not going to have a yoke. We're using this gorgeous Duchess silk fabric for the upper part. And then what you do is just place your fabric, pin them down, add allowance where necessary, and then you cut them out. I added my sewing allowance and then joining allowance at the bottom part of my patterns because those are the places I need them. Then the front part, I cut them on fold. You can see the allowance for the gathering where it is. I'm going to notch it so that I will know where to place my gathers when it is time. And that gathering part, you can decide not to gather, you can decide to pleat. It depends on you, and you can decide to even put a dart there. It depends on what you want and the look you're going for. For the lower part, I'll be using this gorgeous fabric. I love this fabric. It's so beautiful. So what I used is complete 6 yards. The only difference is the length. So the front I used 3 yards and the back I used 3 yards. Now the front one, I'm going ahead to fold my 3 yards of fabric into 2 after cutting my desired length of fabric. It depends on where you want your dress to get to. You measure the upper part and you measure your full length and minus the upper part measurement you have. The remaining part will be for the lower part of the dress, which I have here. Now I'll bring back my lower part pattern, my lower front pattern that we cut out earlier, and I'm trying to check which of the sides is the longest so that I can rule a guideline. And my side front is the longest part, so I'm going to rule, like if you have 15 inches for that side part, now you add half an inch and rule a guideline. If you're used to slash and spread method, you understand what I'm doing here. This is just a guideline so that your patterns will be on a straight line. Your patterns will be on a straight line, so your measurements will be accurate. I just went ahead to highlight the lines, and then you divide that your pattern. Now let's measure the down part. I got 12 inches. You divide it into how many parts you want. Now I want 4 parts, so you divide it into 4, and then you give it your slash lines before you go in to slash the actual patterns. Now you can decide to do like 2 inches. You can decide to do 3 inches, whichever works well for you. I just didn't want to have so many patterns, tiny pieces to work with. That is why I went ahead to do 4. So and it came out nice, if I'll say so myself. So you go ahead and label them 1, 2, 3, 4. Depends on how many patterns that you have. Now this one you cut through, like you cut it totally, and then you align it to that line, that guideline that we drew earlier on. You align it there, but before that, you measure exactly what we have on the so that you know how you be able to space it out. So I got 52.5 inches. and then you divide that 52.5 inches by the number of panels that you have. And you know I have 4 panels, so I'm dividing it by 4. I'll get 13.125. Now that 13.125 is the spacing in between each panels. So whatever amount of panels you have, you work with your own measurement. Just use your calculators and you get it right. After doing that, I'll connect those points together, making sure that that V part, where that V part is like highlighted properly, because that is basically what we need here. You can always use a straight fabric to do it, but you have bulk because you have excesses up inside when you join. By the time we are joining, you understand what I'm talking about. So for now, just do what I'm doing on my pattern. Don't do a straight one. You prefer it this way. Trust me on that. So I'm just highlighting that V part so that it shows very well, because that is the main trick of this particular lower part of the dress. I'm taking out the patterns now because I'm done with them, and I want to show you why I say that V is very important, because it is. Now, after taking out all of the patterns and the pins, I'll bring back the lower part. Remember, we had 3 pieces for the front pattern, so the pattern 2 is what we'll be bringing back, so that you would see why that V part is important. Now you can see with the shape on the lower part, that V part would help you eliminate any bulge that you'll be having if you cut it straight instead of like this. So by the time you gather it up, you can see everything would align properly. For the sewing part now, I've gone ahead to put my interfacing. Use whatever interfacing you have. I used stay for my upper bodies, all of my upper bodies, for the front and the back. I put stay without putting on the lining, because this is a Duchess fabric. I don't want it too strong. I just want it stabilized. So you can see the upper part and the lower part for the up bodies, and then this is the lining part of it. Now you go ahead and make a gathering stitch, and then you gather those points. Remember the points we marked, you gather them together. So you can decide to pleat it, like I said earlier. Just make sure whatever you are doing, either a dart or pleat, it matches up with the lower parts. You can see the lower parts is matching up when I take in the allowance that I left there. So just do that. You can decide to gather, you can decide to pleat, and you can decide to give it a dart. You can see after gathering, is already giving it sort of like a cup shape for my bust. If I had done more gathers, it would be fuller than this, but like I said earlier, I have a small bust, so I don't need it. Now you can see it is matching with the lower part. This is what you want. This is exactly what you want. So you go ahead and pin it down. Make sure you pin, guys. This debate of whether beginners are the ones that use pin or not. No, professional dressmakers, they use pins because it just makes your life a whole lot easier. I'm going ahead to put a notch on that lower part so that I'll be able to, flip it, and it will not be poking around that point. Now, after doing that, I'll go ahead and pin it, sew, and then turn to the other side and sew. And then I'll do the same thing that I did for the front part to the lining as well. So after doing that, I join both the lining and the main bodies together and sew. Also, I do the same for my back pattern, join the lining and the face fabric together. After sewing all of them, I'll go ahead and iron it properly. You can see that the lower part and the upper part, they match, and I went ahead to close them with my lining. Bring now the lower part of your dress, run a gathering stitch around all through, and then pull. you know the way we do gathers, you just create gathers. If you use needle and thread to create your gathers, you can also do that, but me, I just like using my sewing machine. It gives it a finer pleat than the needle and thread. Now you can see that V part is showing. It has eliminated that excess that I was talking about earlier because I cut it that other way. Try to weave before you pull your gathers, or gather before you weave, whichever works for you. Now after doing that, we are going to be top stitching that upper bodice to the lower bodice. That is why we don't want that excess, because if we cut it straight and we have excess, there'll be too much bulkiness at the upper part of the dress, and you don't want that. So I'll go ahead and pin the upper part to the lower part properly, making sure they align, and then I'll go ahead and sew it. You can see after sewing it, it aligns properly. You do the same thing you did for the front, and make sure you use a matching thread, please, especially if you're not going to bead that part. You can see the inside and the outside looking neat because I weaved. You go ahead and do the same thing for the back bodice as well. And after doing that, here's the moment of truth. If your back and front match at each point, then you know your pattern was correct. And you can see that mine matched, so my pattern was correct. If yours does not match, go back to your pattern and look for what is wrong, and then do it so that it will match. Because when they match, it just gives it a seamless finish and it looks professional. So I'll go ahead and pin it down. If you want to put pocket, this is the time for you to attach your pockets on both the front and the back, and then you pin them down so that you can sew with your seam allowance. Remember, I put 2 inches seam allowance, so I'll be sewing, and I've already turned with 1/2 inch, so I'm left with 1.5 inches sewing allowance. So I'll go ahead and sew my 1.5 inches allowance all the way down. This is just the way you join any other dress that you make. That is why I fast forward the video here, so that it will not waste any more time. Now after doing that, you go ahead and attach your zip. You can see that when I attach my zip, it's going to align properly. See, the sides and everywhere is aligning, is matching up. That is exactly what you want for yours as well. I've gone ahead to hem the lower part of the dress. Now what is left is to fix the sleeve. I cut a basic bodice, a basic sleeve pattern, although on the video they used a cap sleeve, but because I'll be wearing it to church, I used a basic sleeve. Thank you guys for watching. Just attach any sleeve you want. Thank you for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.